again, I truly can't believe that the tennis season is starting again. And I mean, it's, I guess, a good thing to the tennis fans because we always get to see tennis happening, but at the same time, it's kind of a sad thing because the players are not getting enough rest. But I mean, for me, I'm just excited that we're finally gonna see some more tennis again. Welcome, tennis fans, to Tennis Traverse Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I'm your host, Ivy Zhang. And in today's episode, I want to talk about players that I think you guys should look forward to in the upcoming season. And these players are isn't necessarily some new players, but they can also just be some, they can even be some big names I think are worth watching because of a certain thing that happened in the last season. So yeah, and I do want to say I'm sorry if the audio quality is a little bit off because I'm recording on my phone. I actually just landed in China 17 hours. This morning. I'm recording this in the evening, but yeah, I took a 17-hour flight, so I'm so sorry if I sound just a little bit disoriented, but I just have to get this episode up. So yeah. I want to start off by talking about the men's side because the next gen ATP finals is coming up. Well, it's playing right now. So yeah, okay. So the players I want to talk about is Arthur Fils, João Fonseca, and Alex Mickelson. So I'm going to start off with Arthur Fils first. So Arthur Fils haven't done really well in this tournament, but I feel like he's proven himself this year by beating some of the big names and just been holding his cool. So for example, in Paris, he managed to make it to the round of 16 where he lost against Alexander Zverev. But he also have just some impressive wins. For example, in Swiss indoors, he managed to beat Stefanos Tsitsipas. And just in some, I feel good, big tournaments, he's able to win some important, matches. So, for example, I think the one that I could think of from the top of my head is Japan, because his road to the title is cracked. So he beat Taylor Fritz, number 1 seed, in the first round, and then he beat Matteo Berrettini, and then he beat Ben Shelton, and then in the semifinals he bet Holger Rune with a score of 10-8 in the tiebreak, 7-6, 12-10 in the second side tiebreak, and then he played against his fellow countryman Ugo Humbert and managed to beat him in a tie 3-setter. So I feel it's just runs like that, that really just give me hope that the next season will just be a season that is going to be great for Arthur Fils. And I also wanted to just talk about another player, which is Joao Fonseca. So Fonseca, the reason why I wanted to talk about him is because even though he's only ranked 8th in this year's next gen tournament, and he's been playing a lot of challenger this year, but he had his moment, and I feel when he plays, it's sort of similar to Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic. I don't know, there's just something about it. I feel it's just the way that he plays. It's really he's really his form is just perfection, and I feel he's only playing the challenger circuit, and the more you develop his game, I feel he's going to be incredible, and that sort of backed up his run in Rio the earlier of this year, where he managed to beat Arthur Fils in the first round and managed to go to the quarterfinals. So he's just an incredible Brazilian player that I think you guys should look out for. Okay, and the next final player I want to talk about in this tournament will be Alex Mickelson. So the reason why I want to talk about Alex Mickelson is because I feel he has been just playing really well, and although there I feel haven't been a lot of talks surrounding him, I feel he can always just manage to put up a good fight and just sometimes go really deep in a tournament. So as an example, he managed to go to the round of 32 in Cincinnati, go to the finals in Winston-Salem, and go to the quarterfinals in Japan and go to the semifinals in Marseille. And yeah, I just feel like he's been doing like consistently well, and even though he hasn't had like that much success at Grand Slams yet, for example, he got beaten by Jannik Sinner in the second round, but I feel like just winning, I feel like he has the capabilities of making it to a final of a Masters tournament and winning like a 500 title. I feel like that's an easy thing for him to do. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of him, and just seeing him challenge some of the great players. For example, his match against Humbert Hurkacz in Paris, it was like a completely dominant performance from him, but just like matches against some top players will be really interesting. Also, the Shanghai Masters, where he lost to Novak Djokovic with a score of 3-7 in the first set tiebreak and 9-11 in the second set tiebreak. I feel like Mickelson really just challenged Djokovic, so yeah. Okay, now I want to just move on to another tier of players that I think we should look out for, but these are sort of just players that I think a lot of you guys already know, but there's just some like circumstances that I think sort of make them unique, and that's why I feel like you guys should look out for them. So Novak Djokovic, obviously he's had, I would say, a rough year, obviously. However, at the same time, he did achieve the goal that he really wanted. But I think I'm just interested in seeing how he's going to perform in the next year. Okay, and then Giovanni Percod. So I should have mentioned him in the first round, but he just had this insane serve I think everyone should look out for. Jack Draper and Lorenzo Musetti. I sort of grouped them together because I'm interested in see how they sort of back up their performance from this season, in the upcoming season. Because Musetti just had a completely different season than the one he had a year previously. He's playing amazingly, and except for maybe just hard courts, which is not his strength at all, but just like grass and clay, he's like just doing really well. And Jack Draper as well, he's beating some pretty big names on literally all surfaces. So yeah, I feel like these are all just players I think are worth watching. And I also want to talk about now just, I feel like these are the top tiered players, to be honest, that I shouldn't even have to mention, but I will mention them just because I feel like there's just some sort of uniqueness to all of them. I want to start off by talking about Daniil Medvedev. I feel like a lot of people have put in a lot of expectations on Medvedev, but time and year again, he's proven to us that maybe he's just capable of winning like Masters tournaments, and I feel like that's something he really wants to prove us wrong about. And I feel like maybe just him winning another Grand Slam will prove us wrong, but at the same time, I feel like there's less expectations of him, and I wonder if that will sort of maybe even help him to achieve his goals of like winning a Grand Slam, for example. But yeah. And then I want to talk about Taylor Fritz. So Taylor Fritz, he's just such a guy that he's able to beat everyone. He's able to play his best, but once he faces a player like Carlos Alcaraz, to be honest, just like these three players, Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Novak Djokovic, he just completely gives out. And it's not that he's like, he doesn't have a game. It's just, I feel like his maxed out game is just not as strong as those players. And I just really, because I feel like he's a great player, and I really just hope luck is on his side this year for him to maybe win a Grand Slam, because, I don't know, I feel like he's been trying a lot to just go really far, and I feel like he has just not like have any huge sort of like mishaps this year, which, yeah, I'm really proud of him for, and I really hope he gets his title. And then I want to talk about Carlos Alcaraz. Obviously, amazing season. But I think the main focus for Carlos is to win that Australia Open, just because that Australia Open, if he wins that, then he would have won all four majors, which is such an incredible achievement at such a young age. But at the same time, everyone is looking at him to win those majors, so there is a lot of pressure. But we know Carlos, I feel like he really does well. He thrives under pressure. So yeah, I feel like just for him, we should really look out for the start of the season. But obviously, he's gonna do great either way. Okay, now I want to talk about Alexander Zverev. I feel like he desperately needs a Grand Slam title to prove to us that he is the player who deserves to be the second player in the world. Because to me right now, he doesn't. Because every time in a Grand Slam, he chokes. And I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity like that, like what he had in France this year. It's just, I feel like he's just not the player he used to be. But for him to get that number 2 ranking, I feel like he really needs to prove himself. And I feel like next year maybe it's his year to do it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then for Jannik Sinner, obviously there's still like an asterisk because of his whole doping ban situation. But really, I wonder how he's going to sort of act, because at least for me, once like the news dropped, he still kept up his performance and he didn't like look suddenly out of it. And I'm not sure how long that's going to last, because once the trial like occurs, like I feel like he's gonna be tenser and tenser to like towards the date, obviously. But yeah, I'm just really interested to see how he does. But yeah, okay, so that's all the ATP players, and we'll come back and talk about the WTA players. So for the WTA, I sort of just want to do it the same exact way, talk about some newcomers and some players that sort of you guys already know the names of, and the top ranked players. So some newcomers include Diana Shnaider. I mean, I don't really think she is a newcomer in terms of ranking, because she's ranked number 13, which is incredible, but she managed to win a title on all surfaces this year, which is just a huge, like, incredible accomplishment, just because she's only 20, and really, even though she's like all banged up all the time, but I just love how she fights for every ball, and I truly think that, just like look at her play, and she's someone I think can go really far. She did go really far in the US Open this year. I mean, there was just a lot of sort of weird things that happen every year at the US Open, so it was like a perfect time for Diana Shnaider to come out. So yeah, okay. I also want to talk about Donna Vekic, who managed to make it to the finals of the Olympics, and just so many finals. I really think that once she had a taste of what it means and what it feels like to be competing at the top level, she's going to be addicted to that feeling, and she's going to be just trying to do everything she can to get back. And I feel like she's really on her way, because just her fighting for every single wall is also just such an incredible thing. And then I want to talk about Karolína Muchová. I was a new converted fan this year. Her playing style, if you guys haven't watched a Karolína Muchová match, what are you doing? Because it's actually insane. She plays with so much just like classic tennis feel, and I love it. I love it. So if you guys want to watch her play, go search up a highlight, but she's someone that I think you guys should definitely look out for. And I think another player that is not that well known, but you guys should look out for, is Amanda Anisimova, because she's been bothered by injury for a long time this season, especially this season. But I feel like once she's on her game, she's on. So for example, in the US Open, she managed to go up a set against Jung Tae-won. Like, she's always her returns are insane, and she's like when she's on, she really can cause a lot of damage, but it's just the thing that whether her body can keep up, and this season it hasn't, to be completely honest. But I really do think with her return game, it can be such like a huge headache for the top ranked players. Okay, now I want to just talk about some players that aren't necessarily the big names, but you guys probably still heard of them. So I want to start off by talking about Emma Navarro. So Emma Navarro, I feel like, had her moment when she beat Coco Gauff this season at the US Open, because Coco was the defending champion from last year, and Emma, to be honest, just wasn't that well known. Similar with Jessica Pegula. I don't think I told you guys this, but I was just like minding my own business and just eating an ice cream, a gelato, and Pegula just like walks out, right? And nobody went up to her to get like a picture. She literally had like 2 bodyguards. Nobody cared. And obviously this year's gonna be different because she did make it to the final, and she really proved to us that she is capable of making a deep run. But I feel like for both Navarro and Pegula, their goal is to not to make it to another final of a Grand Slam, but to win a huge title. It could be a 1,000 title, it could be a Grand Slam, but they just need like a significant breakthrough, just like a breakthrough in general. And then I also want to talk about Danielle Collins. So Collins had the most magical start to her season with just the whole Indian Wells and Miami title, but her end of the year hasn't been so great, but she's come back to play another year, and I really hope, I feel like with her just playing loosely, literally anything can happen. I didn't expect her to make the impact she did this year, but yeah, I feel like she is capable of making impact, especially at the start of the season when she's well rested. Like, I genuinely think she has a chance of making it really deep in this year's Australia Open. Okay. And I also want to talk about Paula Badosa, because Badosa is just such an incredible player with the story she had, and I feel like she's just been like doing really well. She's been going far in tournaments. She went to the semifinals of Ningbo, and she also went to the semifinals of China Open, just to name a few. And she really, I feel like when she's on, her ball striking is beautiful. And yeah, I'm just really happy that she's playing tennis again. And I can't wait for her, like, to see a match between like her and Arina Sabalenka, because they're friends as well. And just like them two striking a tennis ball is going to be perfection. So yeah. Okay. Sorry if it's a little bit loud. I'm not sure how well the iPhone microphone is picking up noise, but it's like really loud outside. Is there like screen? Okay, anyways. And now I want to talk about just some players that you guys definitely heard of, but you guys should look out for. Elena Rybakina, because she switched her coach to actually Novak Djokovic's former coach. So yeah, really interesting to see how that partnership plays out, but just something to keep in mind, because obviously Rybakina hasn't played that much tournament this season, so I'm assuming that she's going to play more, and yeah, I can't wait to see what that partnership will bring us. And then I want to talk about Zheng Qinwen. Last season was most definitely her most successful season yet, but I just wonder if she's going to live up to that expectation in the upcoming season. And then for Paulini, similar thing with Zheng Qinwen, but I really do not want to underestimate both of them. I think they are capable of competing at a high level, because there are players who just like have a random tournament where they're just insane, but they drop back to their level. But these two have proven to me time and time again that they can make deep runs consistently, and they're staying there. So yeah, I really think these two players can cause a lot of just damage. Okay, and then Coco Gauff. I feel like she really wants want to like end the year off with like a number 1 title, and to just like win a Grand Slam again, and just to prove to maybe at Australia, wherever, but just to prove to everyone that it's not just a one thing. And I feel like if she wins a title at the US Open again, it's going to be pretty magical. Iga Swiatek, obviously there is just a lot because of the doping thing, sort of similar to Sinner, but we haven't seen her actually play with the whole world knowing about the fact that, you know, the doping allegations. So really interested to see how like she's going to play under sort of the scrutiny of everyone. Sabalenka, I just really hope she keeps her level, because she is the best hardcore player for sure. And yeah, I'm just really interested to see what she's going to bring more. Maybe going really far in Wimbledon, maybe going really far in French Open, challenging Iga. But I really hope that we can see more like cross, like sort of like Iga or like Coco Gauff challenging Rybakina at Australia, and then someone like Paulini or like Sabalenka challenging Swiatek at French Open. So sort of things like that, where because we know Sabalenka is dominant in Australia, we want more people to challenge her. And in France, we know Swiatek is dominant here, and we want just more people to challenge her. So yeah, that's the note I want to end off on. But I actually can't believe the tennis season is about to start. Thank you so much for listening. If you guys haven't subscribed, you should. It's everywhere. It's on Twitter and Instagram using @TennisTraverse. That's @TennisTraverse. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. And yeah, please just shoot me a DM wherever you can find me if you guys just have any episode requests. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.